Head coach Stephanie White said today that Clark has been doing limited work with the team in practice, but is not yet participating in all the drills. You see her practicing here from today. She added that the team has plans for Clark, but they aren't going to be taking any chances with their superstar.
Was Caitlin Clark's sudden and conspicuous absence from a pivotal game truly a matter of physical recovery, or did it signify something far more profound? A silent yet deafening protest aimed squarely at the WNBA's leadership. This stunning decision didn't merely unsettle devoted fans, it sent seismic shockwaves rippling through the entire league, hinting at a gathering storm of discontent brewing just beneath the polished surface of professional sports. The unspoken message, carried by her empty spot on the court, seemed unequivocally clear. Enough is enough.
I know Caitlin was supposed to be reevaluated this weekend. Was she cleared to return to basketball activities?
I don't know if cleared is the right word.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ready to start ramping back up and make sure, it's completely different when you're just doing one-on-one workouts and when you're out there in 5-on-5, getting up and down the floor, moving laterally. So she's been allowed to do some practicing, not everything. And we're gonna be smart and we're gonna be cautious and we're gonna play the long game and work her back in very intentionally.
The flashpoint, the moment that ignited this firestorm, occurred during what many anticipated would be a standard, albeit intense, WNBA clash between the Indiana Fever and the Atlanta Dream. While the game itself was a closely contested battle, it was the explosive final moments away from the immediate play that irrevocably captured headlines and dominated sports commentary for weeks. As Britney Griner, a towering figure in the league, fouled out of the game, her visible frustration was palpable. Cameras, ever-present, zoomed in, capturing a moment that would soon become infamous. Almost instantaneously, a legion of online sleuths and amateur lip readers dissected the footage, alleging that Griner had unleashed a shocking and deeply offensive tirade. The claim that she had called Caitlin Clark trash, and, more disturbingly, an effing white girl. The video clip and the alleged slurs proliferated across social media platforms with viral velocity, sparking widespread outrage and immediate, fervent demands for accountability and action. But this explosive incident was merely the overture to a much larger, more complex drama.
Tonight, and we got blown out in this game. It was a horrible performance.
Officially, the narrative presented by the Indiana Fever through head coach Stephanie White was one of prudent injury management. White stated that Clark was undertaking limited work in practice, carefully recovering from a lingering quad injury. "We're ready to start ramping back up," White explained to the media, consistently emphasizing a strategy of caution and stressing the importance of playing the long game with their prized rookie sensation. However, concurrently, whispers and unofficial reports began to circulate from sources purportedly close to the situation, painting a starkly different, more provocative picture. These alternative accounts suggested that Clark's decision to sit out the crucial game was driven less by medical necessity and more by a deliberate, principled stand against the WNBA's perceived inaction and what many viewed as inconsistent enforcement of its own stated conduct standards. The chasm between the official line and the rumored reality only deepened the intrigue.
That we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Britney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Britney Griner is going strong. It's totally
This entire controversy threw a harsh, unflattering spotlight onto the WNBA's established protocols for handling sensitive issues and player misconduct. The contrast was made particularly acute when considering recent history. Just weeks before the Griner-Clark incident exploded into public consciousness, the league had launched a notably thorough, nearly 2-week-long investigation into claims that Indiana Fever fans had directed offensive, racially charged chants towards Chicago Sky's Angel Reese. That inquiry, conducted with apparent seriousness and transparency, ultimately concluded with no evidence to substantiate the allegations. Yet, concerning the Griner situation, despite the existence of widely circulated video evidence and sustained public outcry for a formal investigation, the league maintained a conspicuous and, to many, unsettling silence. This stark dichotomy in approach fueled a growing chorus of accusations. alleging a glaring and unacceptable double standard within the league's disciplinary processes, leaving countless fans and observers wondering if all players and all incidents were truly subject to the same scrutiny and consequences, and the immediate, tangible fallout of Clark's absence was about to be brutally demonstrated on the basketball court.
Caitlin Clark has been picked on and abused ever since she entered the league in 2024, and now Britney Griner is joining in on the action, saying that she is an effing white trash white girl because after she fouled out, she decided to take her anger and frustration.
Without their undisputed leading scorer and primary playmaker, the Indiana Fever's performance didn't just dip, it catastrophically collapsed. They struggled to find any offensive rhythm, ultimately managing a dismal 58 points in a crushing blowout loss to the highly motivated Atlanta Dream. This wasn't merely a bad game, it represented their lowest offensive output in a single contest since the 2017 season. The staggering 19-point margin of defeat was more than just a notch in the loss column. It was a stark, undeniable exposure of how heavily the Fever, and, by extension, perhaps the league's recent surge in popularity, relied on Caitlin Clark's exceptional, game-changing talent. Statistical analysis underscored her critical importance. The team averaged a robust 88 points per game with her orchestrating the offense. Without her, that figure plummeted dramatically to just over 76 points, highlighting her almost irreplaceable offensive impact and playmaking ability.
On the WNBA's website, it said that Caitlin Clark and Sophie were both game time decisions for tomorrow's game. Stephanie White shut that down pretty immediately. She was like, no, they need to ramp up. We're playing the long game. Yes, they did things here and there, but we don't want to aggravate things and make them any worse. She talked about Sophie Cunningham's ankle, and she said that this is an injury that she has aggravated a couple of times, so they're not going to push it. And the same thing with Caitlin. She's like, we want to see them ramp up. There is a difference between obviously practicing and then being in those game time situations. So it seems like her mindset and the training staff's mindset is we are thinking of the long term when it comes to these two players. So we definitely will not see.
Adding a particularly bitter and ironic twist to the unfolding narrative, Britney Griner, the very player at the epicenter of the swirling controversy, not only played but delivered a key, impactful performance in Atlanta's commanding victory. While a significant segment of the fan base and numerous commentators argued passionately that she deserved immediate suspension, or at the very least, disciplinary action pending an investigation, Griner showcased her formidable dominance in the paint, seemingly unfazed by the allegations or the public furor. The optics of this situation were undeniably damaging for the league. Its brightest, most talked-about star potentially silenced by a principled protest, or, alternatively, sidelined by an injury possibly aggravated by perceived on-court targeting, while the alleged offender thrived under the national spotlight. This powerful, unsettling image broadcasted a troubling message about the state of accountability and fairness within the WNBA.
They played pretty good in the first half. It was a tie game. It was 33-33. But they just fell apart in the third quarter because they're missing something. You know what they're missing? Do you know what they're missing? I'll tell you who they're missing. This is who they're missing. They're missing her bad, and it shows, okay?
The media landscape predictably erupted. Prominent and outspoken sports media figures waded into the debate with strong opinions. Skip Bayless, after allowing what he considered a reasonable period for the league to respond, voiced immense frustration and bewilderment at the WNBA's continued inaction, perceiving a clear and indefensible double standard in its handling of the affair. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith also weighed in with his characteristic candor, highlighting what he considered a troubling lack of gratitude from Griner, particularly given her recent high-profile and diplomatically sensitive return from Russian custody. He also questioned the league's overall approach to managing its stars and controversies. The WNBA's prolonged silence and the perceived inconsistencies in its disciplinary actions only served to fan the flames of an already intense public debate about fairness, transparency, and the league's core values. But the crucial question lingered: was this an isolated, unfortunate incident, or did it point to a larger, more systemic, and troubling pattern of behavior and oversight?
How are we going to sell tickets if Caitlin's out for 2 weeks? Can she just play on crutches? I'd rather watch that than Britney Griner. I know Caitlyn's injured, but at least we have other stars in the league who people like to watch. Like, fuck.
Delving deeper, some keen-eyed analysts and longtime observers of the league pointed to a potential history of Britney Griner's notably aggressive and at times overly physical play, specifically when matched up against Caitlin Clark in previous encounters. Despite the two athletes primarily occupying different positions on the court, scrutiny of video footage from past games appeared to reveal a recurring pattern of exceptionally hard screens, increased levels of physical contact, and what some commentators described as borderline targeting tactics seemingly aimed at the league's most marketable and widely recognized star. Statistical breakdowns even suggested that Griner's foul rate was significantly higher in games involving Clark compared to her seasonal average. This data raised uncomfortable yet necessary questions. Was this merely a reflection of poor game management and officiating, or did it indicate something more deliberate? Perhaps a sustained underlying hostility directed towards the rookie sensation who had so rapidly captured the sporting world's attention.
Caitlin Clark's injury is tanking WNBA ticket prices. The star Indiana Fever guard suffered a quad injury and is expected to miss at least 2 weeks. This comes on the heels of the WNBA and other teams moving games into larger arenas to accommodate Caitlin's fans. And as sports fans, I think we all know that Caitlin Clark is the most popular women's basketball player. In fact, she might be one of the most popular female athletes in the entire world. Ever since she burst into the national consciousness, women's basketball has experienced a rise in popularity.
Caitlin Clark's meteoric impact on the WNBA's visibility and financial fortunes is, by all measures, undeniable and unprecedented. Her electrifying presence on the court has almost single-handedly transformed the league's public profile, elevating it from a relatively niche sport, struggling for consistent mainstream attention, to a must-watch television event that now regularly competes for viewership with major men's professional leagues. Games featuring Clark consistently attract audiences 3, sometimes 4, times larger than those without her, a phenomenon that has led to sold-out arenas across the country and a significant uptick in media coverage. Television networks and major corporate sponsors have taken sharp notice, pouring new resources and attention into the league, recognizing her immense star power and commercial appeal. Consequently, her absence from the court, for any reason, immediately and starkly exposes the potential fragility of this newfound mainstream relevance and the league's current economic boom. This stark economic reality makes the WNBA's handling of issues directly or indirectly surrounding her all the more critical and fraught with potential consequences.
Come, no one wants to watch a game now. Angel Reese said the WNBA was popular because of her. Why are the views dropping? She said she was popular. How can we get people to watch? I don't even watch. To make the game more popular, we're gonna let fans bet on Angel Reese missed layups per game. Right now, the over-under is at 25.
The entire contentious situation has inevitably placed the WNBA's much-promoted No Space for Hate campaign and similar initiatives championing inclusivity and sportsmanship under intense and uncomfortable public scrutiny. The league has invested considerable resources and effort in establishing itself as a professional organization deeply committed to upholding clear behavioral standards and fostering a respectful environment for all. However, the perceived failure to thoroughly and transparently investigate credible, high-profile allegations of racial misconduct, especially when contrasted so sharply with its approach to other, perhaps less substantiated claims, risks significantly undermining these laudable efforts. Such perceived inconsistencies can suggest a troubling disconnect between stated values and actual practice, potentially eroding player morale, alienating loyal fans, and jeopardizing crucial commercial partnerships that rely on the league's integrity and consistent, fair enforcement of its rules.
The WNBA is the most poorly ran organization in America, straight up. Without the NBA giving their yearly donation, this league would have folded years ago. And that's the part that bothers me about the organization, the owners, the players. This inflated ego, thinking, oh, we built this. You didn't build nothing. You're just getting by the NBA charity check. And with this mentality, they have these inflated egos and they're stuck in their ways. They think their way is the right way. This is going to be successful, and it failed for decades. Finally, a player that's worth paying the money for. Caitlin Clark comes along. What do, WNBA? You beat her up. You treat her like crap.
The WNBA now undeniably stands at a critical, potentially defining crossroads. The mounting, unignorable pressure stemming from widely available video evidence, relentless and critical media scrutiny, and the passionate, insistent demands from a growing segment of its fan base for a transparent, comprehensive investigation into Britney Griner's alleged comments and on-court conduct cannot be indefinitely ignored or dismissed. The league's leadership must act swiftly and decisively, initiating an inquiry that is as rigorous, impartial, and transparent as any previous investigation it has undertaken. This review should not only address the specific allegations of racially charged comments, but also meticulously scrutinize the broader, reported patterns of aggressive physicality and questionable conduct during interactions between key players, particularly involving the league's most prominent and influential star.
Who is going to give Caitlin Clark their quad? Because if I go one more week without her playing, I will genuinely lose it. I will lose it. So someone, I guess I'll do it. I'll take one for the team. Cece, if you're watching this, you can have my quad. You can have my ACL. You can have the whole,
my leg.
You can have my wife's leg. Okay. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I'm glad, like, she's on the sideline. She's cheering. She's at the Pacers game on the floor. Cool. Live your life, Cece. I'm ready to see you back on the court. It's time to get back to the courts.
Ultimately, Caitlin Clark's choice to sit out, whether primarily a medically necessary period of rest or a courageous, calculated act of protest, has undeniably and perhaps irrevocably forced the WNBA to confront deep-seated, uncomfortable truths about fairness, consistency and discipline, and fundamental accountability within its ranks. The potent image of Britney Griner playing a dominant role in a victory, while Caitlin Clark was conspicuously absent, all under the heavy cloud of unresolved serious allegations, is a powerful and potentially enduring symbol of the league's current complex dilemma. How the WNBA chooses to navigate this perilous storm, whether it confronts these challenges with transparency and integrity, or allows the silence and speculation to fester, will profoundly shape its reputation, its credibility, and its very future as a premier professional sports organization. The question that now hangs heavy in the air is stark. Will the league rise to meet this significant challenge head-on, reaffirming its commitment to its stated values, or will its continued silence continue to speak volumes, risking the erosion of the very progress and growth it has fought so diligently to achieve? The eyes of the sports world are watching,